Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
validate. To make legally valid, ratify. To grant official sanction to by marking. To confirm the validity of an election, also to declare a person elected. To support or corroborate on a sound or authoritative basis, to recognize, establish, or illustrate the worthiness or legitimacy of. Validate. And this is episode number 50, which is super cool. We've done 50 in a row, 50 days. Myself for 30 or so of those, 40 or so of those, and some awesome designers every single weekend, and we've managed to keep this going for 50 days, which to me just validates this podcast to enough. It validates it. I guess there's levels of validation, but I guess we'll get into that. But to me, it's been validated in that we've made it to 50 episodes and we haven't stopped, and we've got a great community that's been going of people who are chiming in on these designs every day, whether on what we came up with or their own, which is all really awesome. My computer or my headphones just zapped me. That was really weird. But enough with that. Just wanted to make a note that we've made it to 50. So validate. My initial thoughts for validate is I've been working on this game idea for a long time now. I mean, probably over a year. Just notes and notes and notes. And I even made a prototype, and it's in a shoebox right here. But the idea is that it starts off with very few rules, very basic rules, and then the players kind of govern it on their own. And it's legacy style where the game keeps going, session after session, or campaign style more than legacy. I don't know. The differences are it's interesting. It's an interesting debate, but it's an ongoing game, and in there, there's just very few rules, and then there's more come out over time, but they're all governed by the players. So at some point, players will elect one player into a position of power. And from there, they will, come up with rules and vote on rules, and things can naturally become rules, and basically the rules are going to shift or evolve over the game, and as a different player comes into power, they may abolish a rule or change a rule. It's somewhat like real life, but I want it to be very, very open-ended so that games are extremely different than each other, just as they go on and on. So that's basically my initial thoughts, is that I already have something for Validate that I've been working, and I want players to, vote on something, and then the person in charge will validate it by saying, yes, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that, or we should change it to do this, and then I will sign off on it. So for the mechanics portion, I wrote down the requirement for players to yay or nay your actions. So let's say, we see this in social deduction games where we're forming a team, and does everybody agree with that, yes or no? But I was thinking of it in different kind of games. So let's say a worker placement game, and I place my worker there, and then players have a vote whether that can happen or not. And I assume in a competitive game, players will always vote no for something that's going to, have you progress. So there needs to be something in there to prevent them from doing so. One is it could be a cooperative game. And players are voting on, how we're going to spend our actions and how we're going to spend our time and what's best for the group. And the only problem with that is I guess it's with any competitive or collaborative, is that it just requires a larger player count. At least, 3 or more players, or 4 or more, I guess. So that's one idea. And something with a larger player count could do that. Another is to be confident in something that you will put your validation token on it. So you may only have so many tokens that are, setting this whatever in stone. And when you feel confident enough, you're going to, drop your token down, and that's it. You've placed it, and it's there for good. You've said that it's been validated. Another one, I had a third mechanic thing, was to set a goal, either collaboratively or on your own, that when that goal is hit, it becomes official. And that's super vague, but to say, when this is going to change this rule in the game, or we're going to unlock this special thing once we hit, a collective 75 points or something along those lines. And what that does is it allows something to come into the game later. And you could vote on it and you can come up with it, but it allows it to come into the game at a point where you can be prepared for it, or, you might not be prepared if it came sooner, but the impact that it's going to make on the game has been decided by and chosen by the players, and then it's been collectively, achieved by other players. I had this really weird idea, and I wrote this one down, sort of in the same set of goal that when it's hit, something like rolling a die, and it could be dice, it could be cards, it could be anything, but the die allows that big randomness. But when you roll a number on the die for the X amount of time, so let's say you roll a 5 for the 5th time, that number is now always available. And I don't know exactly what that means. If you've rolled 5 5s, now any roll can change to a 5. When you've rolled 6 6s, any roll can be converted to a 6. When you've rolled 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, 5 5s, and 6 6s, at this point now you get to pick your roll. There's a lot of, just complete randomness in that, and if it's player versus player, then some players are going to hit it earlier, but it depends on the weight and complexity of the game, whether that's even an issue or not. But one of the things I wrote down was that when 2 5s have been rolled, this is where it got really weird. 5 now counts as a 5, 5 counts as a 1, and 5 counts as a 2. And you can essentially use a 5 for any of those. When 3, now 5 is a 1, 2, a 3, and it's always a 5. When you've rolled your 5th 5, 5 is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And then, yeah. And I had no idea where that was going, but it was just thought in using dice in a way that I haven't seen it. And the validation of it was that the 5s are validating themselves. When you roll a 5, the numbers are validating themselves. And that's it for mechanics. So to get into themes, a judge in a courtroom, which would call back to, and I wish I need an index for earlier episodes if I call back to one, especially now that we're at 50. I should probably get on this sooner than later because it'll get really difficult. But to call back to something, just in case anybody were to want to listen, we made a game. I had a game called Illegal that we talked about a couple weeks ago. And that's one that's, a judge in a courtroom, but with a whole bunch of other dumb stuff going on around it. If you've listened, you would know that. A movie, music, or game reviewer. So they're reviewing products and the blow up or the fallout that can follow. So just a game about that world. And I wrote in a world where reviewers make or break the industry and the power that they have. And players are either the reviewers and shifting things, or they are being affected by the reviewers, or they are, giving money or padding, or, however they can, push those reviewers to sway them their way. It could be any side of that, but a reviewer is validating a product. And I had 2 notes about that. One is that I don't like real world themes, and that's very close to home. And 2 is that it's not a dig on board game reviewers being close to home, because I like all the reviewers that I've ever met, and so far they've been really cool. It's just those real life things don't mesh super well with me, but this one can be drawn out a little bit from real life. You can extract it and make it just extreme, like an extreme scenario, an extreme world where reviewers are calling all the shots and basically, running the industry. And I think there will be some dark sides of reality within that, but that was just a thought. So getting into the final thoughts here, my final thoughts on Validate is essentially this rule making thing. I love the idea of a game where the rules are changing throughout the game, but they are governed and decided by the players. And to be able to design and maintain that so it doesn't fall apart is the struggle that I've been having. But it's one that I definitely would love to finish one day and have it actually function and be exciting. So that's it. That's what I have for Validate. Tell me what you have. Thanks for hanging around for 50 episodes, and we plan on having dozens and dozens and hundreds more as long as this is interesting. And at some point I'll be repeating myself, but I don't know. I'll probably forget by then. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya.